Answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First. Jack Paul, it's sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls-Royce, Fiat. Jab, like a shoom, yes.
Criticise you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Oleksandr Usyk was blunt in his assessment of Anthony Joshua's knockout when over Jake Paul, choosing a striking comparison to emphasize the difference in class between the two. Ahead of the fight, the undisputed heavyweight champion compared Joshua to a luxury Rolls-Royce, while describing Paul as a modest Fiat. The analogy made his stance clear. This was never a battle between equals, but a contest defined by a vast gap in skill, experience, and boxing pedigree.
Won? Anthony killed this guy. Listen, a lot of questions, blah blah blah. Only one my answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First. Jack Paul, it's sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls-Royce, Fiat.
Oleksandr Usyk is considered among the most technically skilled heavyweight boxers of his era, having defeated elite opponents and former title holders, including Anthony Joshua. Because of his accomplishments at the highest level, his perspective is respected as it comes from first-hand experience in the ring.
You don't box this guy. It's like, how can I explain it to you in a way you understand? You can't box him.
He's just too good.
He's just unbelievable great. Yeah, forget good, he's amazing. Yeah, he's great, he's amazing. He's like the white Muhammad Ali. He might not talk like Muhammad Ali, but he is the Muhammad Ali of the last generation. You understand? We have to give him the credit where he's due. Yeah.
Speaking after Anthony Joshua stopped Jake Paul in the 6th round, Oleksandr Usyk's manager, Sergey Lapin, viewed the performance as an encouraging sign in Joshua's return following a lengthy break from competition. He described the contest as a positive outing and suggested it could open the door to major fights later in the year, including possible clashes with elite heavyweights such as Tyson Fury. Lapin also credited Paul for his toughness, pointing out that he continued to get back up after multiple knockdowns and showed determination despite being up against a far more powerful and seasoned boxer. Ultimately, he said, Joshua's punching power proved to be the difference. Looking ahead, Lapin mentioned that a potential matchup between Joshua and Fabio Wardley would be an appealing option due to Wardley's ability and strength, and he reiterated his confidence that Joshua would come out on top in a future showdown with Fury. As for Usyk, Lapin revealed that discussions were ongoing about a possible fight with Deontay Wilder, tentatively targeted for June or July, although no final arrangements have been made.
Fans here with Sergey Lapin. Sergey, Anthony Joshua stopping Jake Paul tonight. He had a message for Tyson Fury, greedy belly. What did you make of that?
Nice fight, before 1 year, not work, not training, and now today this first step, yes, maybe second step, one more opponent, one more fight, and maybe we see fight Fury and AJ in September, November, I don't know. Good fight.
Yeah, what did you think of Jake Paul's performance in there? He kept getting up, showed bravery. What did you make of Jake Paul?
For me, I like this guy good. This guy five years training boxing in this have big heart. He stand up 3 times and stand up and fight. This not AJ punch very strong.
What about, obviously Usyk is no longer WBO champion. Could we see AJ and Fabio Wardley now?
This is good fight. I think this is good fight. Fabio, good boxer, good puncher. I think this is nice fight.
Mostly, Tyson Fury, if he fights Joshua next year, what happens?
I think AJ win.
Any update with Usyk Wilder?
We work, teamwork, working. Maybe June, July.
Where could that be? Here?
I think I don't know. Maybe.
Anthony Joshua prepared for his bout with Jake Paul by spending time training alongside Oleksandr Usyk's team. Following his split from longtime coach Ben Davison, Joshua revealed that he trained for several weeks in Spain at Usyk's camp, working closely with members of the Ukrainian champion's coaching setup ahead of the December 19th fight. During that period, Joshua collaborated with Usyk's strength and conditioning specialists as well as the boxing coaches, focusing on improving his movement, technique, and overall sharpness. The disciplined structure of the camp, guided by experienced professionals, highlighted Joshua's determination to stay at an elite level and approach the fight in top form.
Oleksandr Usyk, his team, it came a bit of a shock to the boxing world. How did that come about, and how did you feel that you guys meshed?
So I spoke to Sergey, who works with Usyk, and he invited me down to their training camp. Ultimately, just to do some rounds. There was nothing more to it, but our schedules didn't align at the time. And I then spoke to Tom Hall, who's a good friend of mine, and he said, look, let's try and find some time in your schedule. Put boxing first and go out there. They're a very good team. You want to win, they're winners. If you want to win, surround yourself with winners. Spoke to Eddie, spoke to family, everyone said it's a good idea. I was initially going to go out there for 2 weeks. That turned into 3 months. That turned into a fight, and long may it continue. It's been a really good experience, a really good eye-opener, and I think I can definitely do more. I done well at becoming 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, but I think if I would have known what it takes, I think I would have been undisputed. To the young fighters coming up, you have to work harder. If you really want to win and you really want to get to the top of boxing like Usyk has, you have to work harder. And that's what I've learned with these guys is hard work doesn't lie.
Usyk spoke about the mutual respect and sense of brotherhood he shares with Joshua, praising the breadth of his abilities as a fighter. Joshua's camp approached the bout with a high level of focus and discipline, supported by a team of seasoned coaches. Together, they fine-tuned his attacking and defensive skills to help him adapt to any surprises in the ring and stay in control of the fight.
Simon, I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Oleksandr Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul.
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously after the Usyk fight, he's come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well, yeah,
job.
Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helene, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the BoxRec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match.
Simon Jordan offered a critical take on Anthony Joshua's performance against Jake Paul. Despite Joshua eventually securing the knockout, Jordan felt he was too restrained in the early rounds, throwing very few punches of real intent. In his view, the bout felt closer to a staged spectacle than a fully competitive boxing match. Jordan suggested that Joshua had the ability to end the fight whenever he chose, but deliberately held back, seemingly to extend the event rather than assert control from the start.
Series. You can watch it and you can go, well, I get the gist of it. Why have you got to turn it into 10 episodes? Because I'm dying with boredom after episode.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasised, listen guys, take this as long as you can?
Anthony Joshua didn't step, irrespective. I sat to all these guys, whether it be Spencer or Paul Smith, talking about the fact that Jake Paul couldn't run, didn't have the footwork to be able to move around the ring and get away from Anthony Joshua. And irrespective of the fact that he proved he can run, I mean, we knew he could run because he's got legs. But the fact of the matter is, Anthony Joshua, as an elite fighter, and all this ring rust cobblers, he's not the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. He was fighting against a YouTuber who hasn't got any level about him. So with due respect to the situation, Anthony Joshua didn't throw any meaningful punches. Even the punch that he knocked him out was an arm punch. And you look at the reality and you think to yourself, Anthony Joshua knew what he was in with. He's been broken into America now as a media star alongside being a boxer. Netflix have got some wonderful content, and Jake Paul runs around doing what Jake Paul does. So everybody wins, and only the people that don't win are the people that go, well, look at it. And even the people that think Anthony Joshua is a busted flush now go, well, that proves the point. Well, maybe it gets in the fight against Fabio Wardley, because maybe it lures Fabio Wardley into the thinking that actually I'll have this version of Anthony Joshua, and then the real version of Anthony Joshua emerges. The bottom line is you.
Wade Plemons delivered a frank critique of Anthony Joshua's showing. In his video response, he said Joshua warranted scrutiny, arguing that the performance fell short of expectations, especially considering the time spent training at Usyk's camp. Plemons pointed out that Joshua's movement looked heavy and lacked the crisp footwork many were anticipating, indicating there was still room for refinement despite the win.
No excuses. AJ didn't look great. I'll be honest. He didn't look great. Didn't look like, an AJ we thought we were going to get, the marauder, the guy that was going to come forward and bang out Jake in one round. Pause. But, So I just think it was a mix of AJ didn't look great. Jake didn't engage as much as people maybe thought he would, even though I kind of thought this is exactly how the fight would go. And it took AJ a little bit longer, but eventually he got the job done.
I mean, look, it was a big ring. We knew it was going to be a big ring. It looked at times like it was a fight on a football pitch sometimes. It was a big ring.
Jake made it feel very big because he hugged those ropes. It wasn't...
You've got to cut the ring off, right?
100%. And this is the thing where AJ deserves, the criticism of a guy that has his skill level, a guy that has his experience level. You shouldn't be getting caught up in the idea that you have to go in and put him out in one round. You said in the whole fight week leading up that you weren't going to worry about the crowd, that you weren't going to worry about the mind games. And sure enough, round one comes out and you're trying to step to him, but you're forgetting all your fundamentals. I heard everything about how AJ would go to Usyk's camp and they would fix his feet. His feet were flat. He walked in crossing his feet over, and he chased Jake. Chased him the entire fight until Jake got tired enough to be caught. So that was stuff that I looked at and was like, yeah, this deserves criticism. Jake didn't do much, but...
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping reacted with mixed concern and disbelief at how physically severe the matchup was, particularly considering Jake Paul's limited experience at the highest level of boxing. Bisping stressed that the bout was a genuine fight despite how lopsided it appeared on paper, noting that Paul was venturing well beyond the level of competition he was accustomed to. He added that taking on someone like Joshua carried the risk of such heavy punishment that it could discourage Paul from ever wanting to return to the ring.
Jake Paul's exhausted. There's a couple of shots from AJ. Sticks his tongue out. Jake Paul sticking his tongue out at him. I mean, he looks like bloody... There's a couple of shots and Jake's just gets dropped here. That's it. Fight's over. What was it, a left hook? I looked at my bloody phone for a split second. Well, that was a bit embarrassing for AJ, if I'm honest. Because Jake Paul, all he was doing was running away and shooting double leg takedowns. The fight is over, and can you believe it? It's crazy.
Another notable talking point was raised by boxing analyst Henry, who pointed out that Jake Paul frequently tied up Anthony Joshua and attempted to pull him off balance. Henry argued that this kind of behavior falls outside standard boxing tactics and felt the referee should have stepped in more decisively. He suggested that Paul's repeated clinching in search of an advantage sparked legitimate questions about how strictly the rules were enforced and what kind of contest the fight ultimately became.
Worried about what was coming back at him. He was kind of unaware of what kind of power Jake Paul had. He clearly didn't really want to get hurt or hit. And also, as soon as Joshua did get to the inside against Jake Paul would clinch instantly. And something that he did repeatedly throughout the fight, which was very frustrating to watch, that the referee didn't really punish or lock down on, was the fact that Jake Paul kept sliding down AJ's body, grabbing his legs and going down to the ground, basically. Now, it's a tactic that people use when they're tired and when they're worried about being in that clinch for too long because they don't want to be smothered by the bigger man, held by the bigger man, have to go into a wrestling match. It's basically submitting and saying, I can't compete with you in that space. Also, this gives me a quick chance to catch my breath. and do a bit more moving, which is something that he did constantly throughout this fight. It also revealed to us why it was only 8 rounds. We already had the feeling that perhaps Jake Paul would try and survive, which was why the fight was on the shorter side. To get through 8 rounds was a lot more thinkable than getting through 10 or 12. And there's no other reason for Anthony Joshua to agree to an 8-round fight. It was clearly something that Jake Paul's team wanted in the contract. And look, had this fight been 6 rounds, Jake Paul might have just about survived. He might have just about got through it. And he said himself after the fight, if I just had a little bit more cardio, I probably could have made it to the end. And it speaks to just how much damn moving he was doing. Now look, towards the end of the fight, the 5th and 6th rounds, AJ started to actually land power punches and knock Jake Paul down to actually hurt him. And in the end, he finished the fight with a trademark large, powerful right hand. Before I get into whether or not I think this was real, whether anyone was carried or anything like that, I have to say, fair play to Jake Paul in terms of his toughness. He actually does have quite a good chin because he was taking some big clean shots from Anthony Joshua, who is a big, powerful.
Analyst True Jordy noted that Anthony Joshua's decision to spend time in Usyk's camp went beyond preparing for Jake Paul. The broader objective, he explained, was looking ahead to future challenges, most notably a potential clash with Tyson Fury. Having fought Fury twice, Usyk offers valuable insight into his habits, tactics, and ring craft that Joshua's stint in the camp was therefore as much about learning as training, taking in that experience and applying it to his own development. By studying Usyk's methods and incorporating aspects of his approach, Joshua is working to sharpen both his physical tools and his tactical awareness. The preparation was purposeful, aimed at elevating not just his performance, but his understanding of top-level boxing.
Let's talk about what this means for AJ. He's going to team Usyk. I think personally that is with one eye on the Fury fight. He's like, you clocked Fury. You completely understand everything about him. You fought him twice. You know every weakness, and I need to learn as much as I can from you in a short space of time. It's obviously not for a fucking Jake Paul fight. I think it's more about the Fury fight than it is about Ben Davison having people like Wardley. I think that's actually the real reason. However, I wouldn't mind seeing Anthony Joshua versus Wardley if AJ can get his mind right.
I believe that's in Feb. I believe that will be the next, because it makes the most sense. When you're trying to matchmake, I know Frank Warren does not want to put his fighters in together. It makes sense. And the money, we can go straight back to Wembley and then actually, let's imagine that AJ does beat Fabio. Now we're talking about Fury versus AJ for a belt again. Yeah. It's perfect. So, and this is, I honestly feel this is the road that we're taking. Can
I ask you though, do you think they're going to let Fabio in there with AJ before they get the biggest fight possible? Like, they've already fucked up AJ Fury enough times. That's a big risk, right?
Well, the thing is, there's no safe route to a big fight anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? And the fact is, Fabio Wardley will be absolutely down for that fight because that's the biggest payday.
That motherfucker's game as fuck.
Yeah, but it's like, even just on the note of AJ with, the 5th trainer of his career so far, I think he's just disconnected from the idea that I'm going to have a trainer that me and him, and we're buddies and we're tight and we're in the pocket together. I think he's done with that. It's almost like modern basketball teams where they're not loyal to their teams anymore. They trade and they bounce around. The best situation, they just take it. I think he's looking at it like, I'll do a bit of time with you, bit of time with you. We don't need to be best friends and pretend like we've got this father-son relationship. Piss off, bro.
He's
Teach me what you want. Yeah, and I'm out.
He's sponging as much as he can.
Despite the outcome, the bout offered Jake Paul a chance to prove himself as a legitimate boxer and earn acknowledgement from respected figures in the sport. Former world champion Antonio Tarver shared his view on YouTube, praising Paul's effort against Anthony Joshua. Tarver noted that Paul lasted all 6 rounds and did not make the fight straightforward for Joshua, adding that many fighters would have been stopped far earlier under similar circumstances.
And Antonio Tarver after another big fight. Jake Paul stopped by Anthony Joshua tonight. What did you make of it?
I expected it. AJ looked like he was putting that pressure on, but credit to Jake Paul. He didn't make it easy, bro. He wasn't no sitting duck. He got on his footwork, used his ring, was moving a lot, and he landed some shots. So hats off to Jake Paul, but he was in there surviving, and he didn't make it easy for AJ. But AJ landed that right hand. I knew it was over after that.
Why did it take so long, do you think?
Oh, Jake Paul wasn't a sitting duck. He was putting his mind to the game, but just didn't have enough in his bag. He just, like I said, he got to get those lessons and evolve more as a fighter. You
want to see him continue?
Yeah, he's going to continue, of course. Just got to pick him right, bro, and Give yourself a chance, you know what I mean? I think he was just biting off a little bit more than he could chew tonight. You know, his aspirations was a little bit far out.
I think AJ could have got it done a bit quicker.
I mean, I think he was in there to do it, but like I say, Jake didn't make it easy, bro. It's hard to hit somebody when they moving, especially the way he was moving lateral, just, you know, circling. So he had to catch up with him. He hit him with a couple body shots that slowed him down a little bit. But you can tell right from the outset, bro, it was a different class.
Based on that, who wins, AJ or Fury?
That's gonna be a hell of a fight. You know, that's the one we want to see, bro. Fury, still the guy over there in the UK, as well as AJ. It'll be a hell of a fight for, you know.
Joshua's stoppage underlined the clear divide between a seasoned heavyweight at the top level and a crossover opponent. Once he chose to step on the gas, his superior timing, strength, and ring control became decisive. The moment Joshua fully engaged, the difference in experience was impossible to miss.